Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm not sure if this is live or if I'm gonna have to upload it afterwards. Uh, I don't know how to do the Facebook Live thing. I want to, but I just can't figure it out yet. I gotta look more into it. But anyways, I felt like I would just say a few things to all the people out there in the internet world that happen to stumble across this. So, if you live in Central Florida, one of the things that I want to tell you about is tonight we have a watch party for the Green Party town hall meeting. Sorry about that. Brain fart for a second. So, yeah, tonight at 9 p.m. over at the Graffiti Junction in College Park, there's going to be a big old party to watch the town hall address that's actually being nationally televised on CNN. You could also watch it from your house, of course, if you'd rather do that, or you can watch it anywhere, really. You could probably even watch it on your phone. Just be ready at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jill Stein and the Green Party will be on national television, CNN, and broadcasted wherever else they broadcast. And it's a pretty big milestone for us being anti-establishment, outsiders, that they would actually allow us to be on their indoctrination machine of the TV. So I'll explain what we really need to be doing right now is outreach, reaching people, connecting with people. To get the word out, to get her name out there, because the majority of people haven't even heard of her, which is a sign of how failed our system is. We say it's failed, but for the people that are profiting off of the corruption and the controlled elections, they would say it was working perfectly because no other candidate gets any chance besides the two establishment candidates who are always both funded by the same corporations, the same people that are benefiting from these unending wars and mass incarceration of innocent people, and they profit off of sickness. Basically, there's all these things that they make a lot of money off of that is questionable whether or not people should make money off of, because it increases the odds of people having these problems, right? Like, if war is profitable, it increases exponentially the chance that war will continue. And that's what we've seen. We got the war profiteers making tons and tons and tons of money, so the wars don't end. But it's not just about arms manufacturing and weapons distribution and all these other things that they're profiting off of. So they profit off of that on one step, and then the next step they profit off of the regime changes, and then they profit off of the currency changes and the introduction of the banks, the Western banking systems into these other places that had different systems. And then after that, they come in and they clean shop with their corporate exploitation and extraction of resources and wealth from other nations. So it's basically a global capitalist revolution, but these terms get kind of cloudy. Capitalism, socialism, communism, fascism, they all kind of don't matter what you call it, because what really matters is what they do. So you could call it whatever you want, but the thing is, what do they do? That's the big important thing, right? It doesn't matter what you call me. What matters is what I do. I could call myself anything. Anybody can call themselves anything. They could wear any kind of shirt. I'm wearing my psychedelic lion shirt right now. Maybe if you noticed. But yeah, anyone could call themselves anything. Anyone can call anyone else anything. But what matters is what we do, why we do it. So, I guess I should address what I do and why I do it. So, maybe you've seen me standing on the side of the road recently, either by myself or with someone else, holding a sign, Jill Stein for president. I got about 6 or 7 policies listed. And I'm doing that on the side of the street, where I could probably sit there and be asking for money, if I really wanted to. I could just hold up a sign that says, please help me, I'm trying to survive capitalism, please give me money. But instead, I'm campaigning for Jill Stein, and it might be intimidating for people at first to think that, well, I could just go out there and if I stand out there by myself, I'm gonna feel like an idiot. You won't though, because as you're standing there, people will stop at the stoplight and they'll read your sign, and you'll see they'll start shaking their head. They're like, "What the hell is this? Who's Jill Stein?" They start reading the platform. They're like, "Yeah," you get thumbs up, you get honks, you get people clapping and rolling down their window, and you know, it's pretty cool, and it's a big value. Because you got corporations that are spending millions and millions of dollars on marketing and advertising. They put up their little billboards. They paint even the park benches and stuff on the side of the road. Like they spend a lot of money to do the same thing that we can do for free. You could spend $5 or $6 easy at the Walgreens or whatever, and get your poster board and markers and make your sign say whatever you want, put it out there, stand out there on the side of the road, and you're basically creating thousands of dollars of value over time, because you're reaching lots and lots of people when you stand on the side of the road with a political sign like Jill Stein, because it adds the human element. It's different than just putting up a yard sign or something like that, because when you add the human element, especially when the human element is me, people look at me and they're like, this guy's out there. What's he trying to say? So, yeah, that's why I'm campaigning for Jill Stein so ruthlessly right now, in my opinion, is because I feel like that's really the only play for me right now. And I would say the same thing for even Hillary supporters. Like, if you're looking at Hillary and saying, well, she's evil as hell and corrupt and crooked, but she's not Donald Trump. So instead of just saying, well, Jill Stein doesn't have a chance, I'm going to vote for Hillary, do something. Join us. Do something for Jill Stein and the Green Party. Go out there and give her a chance first. And after you've given it your all, then say, oh, well, okay, it didn't work, so now I'm going to do it. At least try something before you just take the easy, defeatist way out. And that's my message to all you Democratic supporters of Hillary Clinton right now. At least try and help us with the Green Party, because we're not just an opposing political party or something like that. We're human beings on your side as human beings on this planet. And we need the help of everyone, absolutely everybody, that will be willing to put in even an inch of help. We need that inch of your help, whatever it is, whether it's telling your friends about something, or starting a conversation, or just even looking it up and learning about it yourself. That's the first step. That's the first inch in this movement. It's a movement. We're going forward. We need those inches. We need every little inch we can get. All right? And it's not just for this election. The Green Party is not just here for every 4 years. It's a party that people have stuck with for a long time. Very few people in the grand scheme of things, but they've stuck with it a long time, and they get it, that a political kind of change like this takes a long time. It takes a lot of people, and the few of us that get it have to absolutely give it our all. And so I need your help. If you live in Orange, Seminole, or Lake County, we're going to be coming up with some sign waving events. We've already done it, and I've already gone out there myself and done it without trying to get anyone else to help. But it's going to help if we have more people. And I've got a specific spot in mind. It's right on 441 along Park Avenue in Apopka, and it reaches traffic from Orlando, reaches traffic from Seminole County and Lake County, because after there, people split off and they're coming from different directions. So basically, it's like near the border, and it gets people from all three of our counties. So that's the events that I'm going to be hosting for the most part, is saying, meet me over here and let's hold some signs and hang out and outreach and talk to people. But we're going to need other things too. We need info tables. We need people to come up with the materials, the flyers, poster boards, artistic displays. We're going to have to come up with one of those canopies so that we can do info table campaigns at farmers markets and little town events like in Sanford when they have their Thursday event and everyone comes out to the little town and you get all these people with their stations and stuff. We need to be out there. We need to be at all these little places that we can. Farmers markets. We need to be anywhere that we can go and reach people directly, face to face, is going to be a good tool, because then we actually get to talk about the policies and they get the human interaction besides just a piece of artwork. But until we get to that point of info table campaigns and outreach and stuff like that, we need to be doing everything we can, which is posting stuff online, going to the streets with our signs. Those two are big right there. If we do that until we get to the point of info table, we'll be doing pretty good outreach. And it's not impossible for Jill Stein to win the presidency. Like, this is a myth that people are saying. They're defeatist. They're giving up before it even takes place. And that's the complete opposite of what being American is about. Like, I come to you as somebody I would say is a pretty staunch American, in terms of the ideals of liberty and justice and equality and democracy and progressing the human condition. I feel like those are core tenets of being American, and I feel like this campaign for the Green Party is as American as it gets, even though it's being, the Green Party has parties in over 90 countries right now, which is better than any other of our parties can say. We're in over 90 countries. It's a worldly thing, but the thing is, it's still American as hell. It's hell American. And so I invite you guys as fellow Americans, help us, do what you can. Even if you already plan to vote for Clinton, just give it a shot, because when you look at Jill Stein's and the Green Party's platform, it's even better than what you want, what you think you want, right? Because you've been handed down this garbage from the Democratic Party for so long, you actually think that it's what you want. But when you go and look at her policy and the policy of the Green Party, you'll see, whoa, that's me. That's what I want. So at least give us a shot and help us. Do what you can. And then, if all else fails, then do whatever you're going to do originally. But don't just give up and say, she can't win, she's a third-party candidate. Let's vote for Nader, or whatever. Vote for Gore, And then I also want to touch on that, because anyone that is said anything about the Green Party to a Democratic supporter, they probably already encountered this. Where they tell us, when Ralph Nader ran, he cost the election for Al Gore. And that's a complete nonsense story. Like, they blame it on us. They blame it on the Green Party, who was the only actual candidate that would have done anything different, because Al Gore was already a war hawk for Iraq. He was already war hawking against Iraq in 1990s. He was already repeating, and he might have even been one of the original people that started saying that, Saddam, weapons of mass destruction. We need to go in there. And then that's the Iraq War. It would have happened regardless. He was already calling for war against Iraq before 9/11 even happened. So don't come at me and tell me it's my fault that Al Gore lost. And even still, 290,000 Democrats voted for Bush instead of Al Gore, which is way more than voted for Nader. So if you're gonna blame anyone, blame your own damn candidate and your own damn party for being a weak candidate against George Bush. How are you gonna? This is something that I criticize the Democrats for my entire voting life, because ever since I've been 18, every single Democratic candidate has tried to come up there and talk about how they're gonna fight wars better and they're gonna be the more secure state, and but you can't do that, because everyone knows that the Republicans are the warmonger, are basically the best at warmongering, So you guys lost. You lost when you tried to say you'd be better at it than the Republicans. And coming from the Green Party, I'm looking at it and saying, either way, it's going to be the same. between those two. They're both sponsored by all the same people, and all the same people that are always going to profit off of endless war, endless incarceration, and sickness, and pretty much anything that sucks. They're going to make a lot of money off of it. You know, even death, even your own death, they're probably going to make money off of it. You know, they just, it's a parasitic system. You know, you got guys that they'll complain about an individual getting food stamps, but they won't complain about the individual that's making $30 million a year for being a war profiteer, and it's coming from taxpayers' money, right? When there's a big old contract after contract coming from the government going to these military contractors and CEOs making $30 million a year, that's government money that he's putting in his pocket. And they're rewarding him so much because he's the one that consciously knows what exactly it is that he's doing, right? All the workers are just workers. They're going to make their money anywhere they can because they have to survive the cost of living. They're going to work wherever going to pay, you know, they're going to work whoever pays them, and anyone else will do the job that they're doing. But it's the people that are making the conscious decision to say, I'm going to direct this entire labor force under my control towards manufacturing these weapons of oppression and extraction, exploitation, and you know, capitalist conquest of the world. So back in the Red Scare, they tried to scare us that, oh, the communists are going to take over the world, and then the capitalists went and did it. But then they're doing it in a form that's like a state capitalism, or you know, behind the scenes, secrecy, controlled economy. So basically, it's hard to call them capitalists when they're basically acting like communists. You know, the government has had less turnover than any communist regime has. You know, like in communist countries, they're actually replacing more of their government than we do here. We have such an incumbent rate of people that return to office. It's really high retention rate. It's pretty wild, actually, because one of the things that we believe that we have is a rotating government that is always putting in new people, but that's not how it works. You know, we have a higher retention rate than any communist nation ever had, and yeah, you know, endless wars. My entire voting life has been wartime votes. Now we finally have a candidate that is kind of anti-war and anti-regime change war, and it's not that she's anti-defense. You know, the Green Party is not anti-defense. We still want to maintain defense budget and a standing, you know, military to defend the nation, but it's a defense budget. It's not an offense budget. Like right now, what's going on is offense. They might call it defense spending or the Department of Defense or whatever, but it's offensive as hell. You know, it's out there. It's expanding. It's expanded ever since the beginning, and you know, not really anyone that it's expanded towards had anything to do with anything that happens here. It's more about what can we exploit and extract from them, and yeah, not me and you obviously, because we're not profiting shit. We're losing money every damn second that these wars go on. You know, your specific tax dollars, when you pay, 50% of that about is going towards military spending. Now and then you break it down into the slivers, right? You want to say, well, how much of my tax dollars is going to that warmonger, war profiteer? And it's calculable, but I don't know that specific number, but it's in there. That little sliver of what you worked hard, no matter what your choice is, without your vote, it's still going to war, and it's still going to war profiteers, and it's still going to, you know, overseas destruction. And it's the most wasteful type of spending there is, because you're literally creating something meant to destroy, to not exist after a while, right? It's not like you're building a bridge that's going to be there and provide a service for a long time. No, you're creating something that's just going to. It's a huge waste and destruction of our labor, and it's taking our country down, big time. And next is going to be, if we don't change something, we're going to have huge cutbacks in our services. Cost is going to go up for everything. We're basically going to get horrible, horrible conditions if we allow either one of these guys to win. Because they're both status quo, even though Trump says he's not. He's probably status quo. Anyways, with Trump, I don't even feel like it's a honest election. Like, I feel like he's acting, because I watched him. I'm a business management major, entrepreneurship, so I used to watch The Apprentice, because that was, it's a show about business management and starting up new ideas and products and things like that. And he wasn't anything like what his campaign is today. If you watch his show, it's much different. He was a much different dude. He actually, had all these fundraising events for all kinds of a variety of charities, even LGBT charities and poverty-stricken charities and hungry people and, different diseases. And there was so much money that was raised for charity there, and a wide variety of people that were on the show and had a chance. And he gave them all, the opportunity at respect, and he wasn't yelling at Muslims on his show or anything like that. And that show went on for a while. And so after watching all that, growing up watching that as a business management major, and then seeing his campaign now, I don't buy his campaign. I don't believe it. I don't think at all that it's what he's like. It's almost as if he just took the campaign information for Goldwater and is following that. And coincidence, that's the campaign that Hillary started on, was Goldwater. And we're seeing the same response. We're seeing Republicans saying, "Oh, this guy's too crazy. We can't support him. We got to vote for the Democrat," which at the time was LBJ Johnson. And some people say that Johnson was the guy that helped assassinate Clinton, or not Clinton, Kennedy, or you also, he was the guy that was in charge when the Gulf of Tonkin incident happened, which was a fabricated lie, which was used to justify the Vietnam invasion, and also sidestepped the traditional declaration of congressional war, and also started the draft. The draft, which brought all these people against their will to fight a bunch of other people over and something that never happened. So we're seeing the same kind of dynamics of this election that happened in that election, which is scary, because if we followed the pattern, it would mean that, then the candidate that wins, because the other candidate is crazy, is going to end up starting a war and a draft. The war's already here, but the draft is what is scary now, because now, starting 2018, women will have to register for the draft too. And I hear people saying, "Oh, equal rights, equal responsibility." But can you honestly tell me that you look at all the little girls that you knew and that you do know and say that, "Oh yeah, let's send them to war"? What the fuck is wrong with you? That's horrible. I just couldn't imagine, because I've had such a fondness of women for a long time, and I couldn't imagine sending them to war against their will. I'm all for voluntary women service if they want to, and it's something they want to do and it's for them, then go ahead. But I don't think that it should be forced upon, the girls that don't want to, or the men that don't want to. I feel like the draft shouldn't exist in the first place. It should be abolished. It should have been abolished the second that the anti-war protest started in the 60s in the Vietnam era. I can't believe we didn't abolish it after that. After seeing what the government, it's not just the government, because government is a tool. It's something that can be in the hands of a bad person or a good person. And what impact do we have on whether the good or bad guy gets in there? It seems ever more less. We have no impact is kind of the current position of people that actually pay attention and care. Feel like we have zero power at all. But there's the crazy guys that feel like we can make a change. And one of them was Gandhi. He said, "You be the change you want to see," right? Why should we wait for someone else to do this when it's up to us? It's even the most, you know, um, destitute person can make a big change if they just put their mind to it and a little bit of skill and labor. Uh, we can really do a lot if we do it ourselves instead of waiting for someone else to do it or expecting the situation to fix itself, because it's absolutely not going to fix itself. So yeah, abolish the draft is my recommendation, because if there's a network of people that can fictitiously report an event and then use that to justify the draft, and then send men and women against their will to wars that are mostly for private profit, exploitation, power, control, and ultimately not in the interest of us, the people, then we should abolish the draft. I don't know how we go about doing it. Uh, I've tried things like this before. I tried to legalize sleep, the Freedom of Sleep Act. I wrote that thing, and it got like 80 supports on the petition. Got like 80 signatures. So, I feel like borderline hopeless, helpless, but I'm not giving up. And for people that have known me for a while, you've seen that I haven't given up. I'm always vocal and trying to reach out and do something. Whether or not it's effective isn't my concern. My concern is that I'm at least trying something, so that I can live with myself and not feel like I'm a sideline bench warmer, uh, neutral. I can't see myself being neutral. I have to be doing something on the side of the good side. And good and bad, I guess it's all relative. But I feel like most of us have a certain common interpretation of what is good and what is bad. And I feel like if we want to really do what is good, the greater good is Jill Stein, Green Party, and beyond just supporting her in this campaign, what we need to do is really dig in for the long haul. We need to start looking at the next 4 and 8 years of local elections, because it's hard to run somebody as a Green Party candidate. Look at how many of my friends here are thinking, I'm going to run for government. Like, probably zero. Because most good people don't want to get into government. They want to do something else. Which is why so many bad people have gotten into government, because all the good people are too busy doing other things. So, I'm going to need help convincing people to try running for office. And because I don't think I could run for office. I mean, I would like to, but the thing is that, look at me. I'm going to get, yeah. Anyways, so my best thing that I can do is help, inspire and organize and motivate people. And I also want to help start a legislative group of regular schmucks like me that come up with new laws and legislation and help it in local, regional places. Because we look at something like ALEC, which is the American Legislative Executive Committee, and we see how impactful and powerful they are, but it's the wrong people. We need the good people to be doing that, right? So, how do we do that? How do we get the good people to do what the bad people are doing, and basically give good a chance? So it's a lot of volunteer, grassroots stuff. That's our key. That's because we're not going to get big time funding from billionaires and millionaires, because we don't represent them, so they're not going to give us money. to help like they do with the other parties. So we're gonna have to fund this stuff all ourselves. We're gonna have to come up with new ways, budget. Uh, you know, uh, we got to use that good old American ingenuity to find the cheapest way to do something that they're doing and spending millions and billions of dollars on. All right, well, I just reached 30 minutes. I'm going to take a little break, and this was, completely off the cuff. I had no clue what I was going to say. Oh yeah, how about let's talk about local elections, right? Because if you want to vote, if you actually care about who you're voting for, it's really tough and a lot of work to actually look into every single position and look at which candidates you want to vote for, because you're talking about 20 different people that you got, 20 different positions you got to vote for, multiple candidates, which means you're going to have to look up all these different links and stuff like that. But the first important part that you're going to have to know about before you get any of that started is what districts you're in terms of the Congress, also the Florida House and the Florida Senate. So basically, go get your voter registration card. If you don't have one, go to your supervisor of electors and get your voter registration card, because that should have the different districts and precincts that you're going to be in. That'll help you know what's going to be on your ballot. There's also websites like Ballotpedia, and Local News 13 also has some good information on the different candidates. So, as a Green Party minded type of person, in Florida, we don't really have any Green Party people running right now, which doesn't mean that we can't in the future. The thing is, we just don't right now. And if you live in a county like me, where you got a bunch, in some races you only have 3 Republicans, not even a Democrat running. So you can't even do the good old I'm just gonna vote for Democrat down the board. You can't even do that in a lot of counties now. You're gonna have to actually look up which, even if it's all Republicans, look up the ones that most align with the Green Party ideal platform. And for an example, here in Lake County, we have 3 for sheriff. For the sheriff of Lake County, we have 3 different Republicans running, I believe, and there is a difference between them. One of them wants to decriminalize marijuana, cannabis, anything under 20 grams to only a fine. And one of them is not funded by campaign contributions, 0 corporate or personal campaign contributions. And one of them promises to start to increase the starting wage for the new sheriffs, for the trainees, to a living wage, with also more plans for advancement and pay grade. And one of them wants to reduce the top level management to a few less positions to help free up the money for that. And so coincidentally, that one guy is the same guy that wants to do all that stuff. His name's Andres Obregano, something like that. Foreign to me, but I just moved here, so I'm looking it up and trying to figure out, well, who can I support? Basically, who needs my help? Who's the underdog? Who is going to change things? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong in this county. It's a beautiful, awesome, lovely county, and nobody's messed with me. So I'm not saying that it's atrocious here in Lake County, but that I can make a little bit of an impact by helping support the guy that is, most aligns with the Green Party ideals, even though he's not green, and even though most of his policies don't match with us. At least there's the few that do, and that's the guy that I would best vote for, even though they're all Republicans, instead of not voting for anything. So, and this is on the fantasy that our votes matter anyways. So let's just assume that they do, even though after the Democratic primary, it might be easy to say that our votes absolutely don't matter and it's all rigged, and even if the good guy gets more votes, he's still going to lose anyways somehow. Let's just not give up, is all I'm saying. Let's not give up. Let's try even harder than we have in the past. and reach out to more people, learn more. Uh, the more that we know, and the more that we internalize, and the more that we understand, the easier it is for us to naturally win any kind of debate argument against us, because it's coming from the soul, it's coming from our knowledge, it's coming from what we actually are, and it's not scripted, and it's not uh, pre pre approved talking points, or it's actually reasonable, scientific. That's our goal here. We are the reasonable and scientific uh, supreme platform in comparison to all the other ones. So now we're at 35 minutes. Yeah, so I'm going to take a break. I don't know if this is live. I don't see anyone commenting or anything. If it's not live, I'll just post it after I'm done. And thanks for thanks for chilling with me and listening to what I got to say. And hope you have a nice day.